made several moves where he got spun around and did a pirouette and then still got to the second level and made plays. So Larry Warford, after one preseason game, but he's proven his worth in the league. That right side's going to be pretty solid. They've got to get Max Unger back. Obviously, Josh Laribas is a better player than we thought that he was. He's strong and he can stay on blocks and he's got a lot of energy, but he's not Max Unger. If Max Unger is there, and please, Ryan Ramczyk, who would have thought we'd be saying this, get out there and stay out there because Khalif Barnes cannot do it with any level of consistency. And Bryce Harris can play both sides. He has some versatility, but Myles Garrett made Bryce Harris look like a rookie. Myles Garrett's pretty good, fella. This is another scoop, okay? Right? Myles Garrett's pretty good.
Myles Garrett, they got a stud there in that kid.
He knocked Bryce Harris. When you talk about an example of turning speed into power, the first snap that Bryce Harris goes against Myles Garrett, Myles Garrett puts two hands on him and rolls him right back on his back. And then the next play, jab steps outside, comes back inside, and Bryce Harris winds up on his face. So he is really, really good. But all this team overall proved to me, fellas, that without Drew Brees, I wrote this as a matter of fact, without Drew Brees, I thought that the Saints were the San Francisco 49ers the last year. I've reevaluated that. We've discovered that without Drew Brees, the New Orleans Saints are the Cleveland Browns.
Wow. Yeah, the team they were playing. And look, Coach, before we sign off, I want to ask you this personally. Your thoughts on Garrett Grayson. Has this kid regressed when he should be progressing? I don't know if you caught what I wrote the other day, but to me, he might not even be able to play in the Arena League right now. I might be exaggerating a little bit for effect, but is there anything you see as a coach, all the years of experience you have and having coached quarterbacks, obviously, and all your time? Is it mechanics? Is it mental? What are you seeing out there?
It's the ability to convert decision-making into action and accurate action on top of it. You're right. He'd have trouble playing in the Arena League. The ball doesn't come out of his hand fast enough. But he has fallen well behind. We learned in the quarterback battle why Chase Daniel is on this team. The decisions that he made on every play were first rate, even the plays that didn't work. And you could see he knows what he's doing. And getting the protection the right way, throwing into the blitz at times, but and now he could be the extra eyes. They may not keep a third quarterback. Nassib, right. I think certainly passive. Grayson is what you find out is that they may not regress. It'll look like they're regressing because who they are becomes clearer. And what we saw from Garrett Grayson the other night, that's pretty much what he is. And Nassib is better. Is Nassib good enough to make the team? Because once again, there is a huge delineation. It's big between Brees and Daniel, but Daniel combines what Luke McCown brought to the table with some youth and energy, and he's just a better player right now. Big drop off to Nassib after that.
Yeah. To me, I would equate it almost to when you had Roger Staubach and then you had Danny White. That's what Brees and Daniel make me think of. That if Brees got hurt, the drop off would be significant, but Chase Daniel is good enough to win you a game. And
yes.
And Garrett Grayson ain't going to win nothing. So it's just sad because look, Sean Payton flew out to Colorado Springs on a private jet that Tom Benson chartered for him and went to go watch the kid work out, and they were so high on him. And, guys like me writing articles about the heir apparent and the next great starting quarterback of the future, blah, blah, blah. And here I am 3 years later eating everything and every word that I wrote. And it's just disappointing. And I don't know what they're going to do, but, they can kick the can down the road like they have been doing. But to me, I think the 2018 quarterback class potentially could be one of the deepest in many, many years. Some people are even comparing it to the great '83 class with Marino and Elway and those guys. I would be surprised to see the Saints finally pull a trigger on a quarterback in the early rounds next year.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point about the quarterbacks. But what concerned me, Coach, I just have to say it, you always talked about this, the special teams. These guys didn't look too special in my opinion. I'm just saying.
Yes, they've got a long, long way to go. Certainly Will Lutz is much further along than he was a year ago. His technique is significantly better. He still takes a little too long. And if you get a chance to see some close-ups this week on Sunday, this is just a little thing, but I would teach our kickers that as soon as the holder's hand came off the ground to catch the ball, that's when you started to take your step. And don't even look at the snap, focus on that hand, where you could see that Will Lutz follows the snap back to the holder and doesn't get his first step in the ground. It's just a timing step now instead of a full third step. And so he's a little bit late, but he's going to be fine. Kevin O'Day has done a great job with him. Morstead, of course, is going to be fine. Drescher, they've got the long snapping thing settled for right now. They tried to get somebody better, but it doesn't look like that is the case. He's a professional snapper, middle of the road. Coverage people got a long way to go. How many special teams maniacs, I call them, can you keep on the team? There's 4 of them, like a Michael Marty and Lampman and the running back as well. You know, there's 4 of them that are real special teams maniacs. I thought it was very interesting that Chris Banjo was a personal protector on the punt team. That's an important position. And so does that mean that he's got a little bit of a leg up going forward? Or are they trying to find a place for him? I don't. That's always fun to watch. But here's a big key. Alvin Kamara did a terrific job on his 1 punt return. If Ted Ginn Jr.
I was just about to go there.
Your best returner. He's always been, even as a starting wide receiver, the primary punt returner on the team since 2009, I think, as I went back and looked at his career. If he's not your punt returner and kickoff returner, Kamara also will play a role in there. Then signing him as a free agent is not going to work out all that well because he is not Crooks as a receiver.
Right.
He just isn't. He's as fast, but he's not as good. He can make people miss better. So if they could throw it to him short, he could make some people miss perhaps. But the combination of him as a receiver and a returner, you got a player. If he's not that return guy, then the Saints will still have a long way to go because they've got to improve their kick returns dramatically. Because if you can improve your kick returns, I used 4 yards. Every 4 yards extra that you get on a return is 1 less play it takes the offense to score. Well, the Saints actually average about 6 yards a play. So let's just use 5 yards. For every 5 yards you gain in the kicking game, that puts you that makes the opposition go 1 more play. It makes you go 1 less play, and that's going to be important for the Saints to be successful.
Wow. You know, and one thing I liked about Kamara is the fact that the kid wasn't afraid going into the hole.
Yep.
And I really, 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 and Brendan, you know, being out there in Charlotte, and those guys at Carolina must be really applauding the fact that Ted Ginn is not trying to catch the football. You know,
oh my gosh!
How do you miss that football? And Bob, and I see Bob Rose on the line. Bob, and I know you have a lot of colorful words about Ted, but I could not believe it. But anyway, let's kind of move on. I don't want to labor the point on him. the New Orleans Saints, guys, and we really need to see how they're going to perform out in Los Angeles this weekend. We need to see a little bit better pass rush. Coach, the pass rush was anemic for the first couple of series. If it were not for the young man Muhammad and a couple of the interior guys, it was very mediocre. And that's the problem we've been having from the New Orleans Saints for the past several years. Now, if we cannot get pressure onto the quarterback, what will we do, especially with our cornerback situation up in the air? The safeties look pretty decent, but not great. Okay. That's just my thoughts there. Bob, I know you're just coming in. What are some of your last takeaways from the Cleveland game?
Good evening to you, gentlemen, and all the listeners out there. And you're right. I do have some colorful words about Ted Ginn, but we'll keep it a PG-rated show. As far as what we saw, and you hit the nail on the head. Muhammad had a terrific game, but we have to see more from him. But I really like this kid out of Miami anyway, rushing the passer. And he had a very nice night rushing the passer. But like you guys said, the first-team defense, even though they contained the Browns well, they did not get great pressure on the passer. And to answer the simple question, what will the Saints do if they don't get pressure on the passer? The answer is very simple. They'll finish again with a 32nd ranked pass defense. We know that we're going to get some good pressure from Cam Jordan. I'm not worried that we didn't see him against Cleveland. I was more focused on the secondary anyway. As far as how the safeties performed, safeties did perform well. I'd love to see more from Marcus Williams. I think he's going to bring a lot from a center fielder, from a more traditional center fielder look to the defense. The cornerbacks are a bit of a mess right now. You guys were talking about it, and I apologize for jumping on late. But we're going to be without Delvin Breaux for nearly half the season. Damian Swann, unless a minor miracle happens, he's not going to be on this roster. So we're gonna need to see more from Mr. Lattimore. We're going to need to see why the Saints made him the 11th overall pick. And Ken Crawley struggled. We know that. We watched the game. But he's still having a very good camp. And it's not like the Saints have a poor receiving core that he's going up against. So I think he's going to perform well this season. He's going to have to because he's going to be asked and expected to step in a more prominent role. And then the other young cornerbacks, we expect those guys to take their lumps. Guys, we've all talked about this in private conversations before. That any young cornerback, I don't care what your skill level is, a rookie or a young cornerback are going to take their lumps. They need the pressure from up front. And that's what we have to see. We have to see Trey Hendrickson get onto the field. We'd love to see a 6th-round pick like Muhammad increase his array of pass rushing moves, things like that. The simple matter of this defense is if they don't get additional pressure from someone other than Cam Jordan, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I agree. And I really would like to see how they're going to handle the Chargers, especially their first unit. But I think if we continue not to be able to pressure the quarterback, put pressure somewhere into the system, Coach, we're looking at 6-10, 7-9 again. It just – I don't see with the schedule that we have ahead of us, if we cannot be consistent in that one area, we're really going to ask a lot again on the offense to be dominant and score a lot of points to try to keep us in these games. So that's just my concern right there. And Muhammad, yeah, he did do very well, but Coach, I did see him sometimes he was not finishing plays all the way through. He's
got a lot of progress that indeed he has to make. I've got to say that I did see better play overall out of the defensive line. I think Ryan Nielsen, as a defensive line coach, some of his efforts are showing up a much